Hello and welcome to a Frey evening, where I'm your host, the Bullfrog, and we are going into one of George Martin's works, and that is the whole kit and caboodle of Game of Thrones. But we're focusing on one subject and only one subject of Game of Thrones: the Freys.
I needed to get rid of sons and daughters. You see how they pile up?
And we are going into the aspect of A Dance of Dragons, a story that you see in Fire and Blood that A House of Dragon is based on. So those of you who don't want spoilers, please leave now.
Go.
And we're mainly going into a specific character. Our last episode, we did an overview of Forster the Fool Frey and his role in A Dance of Dragons, the war, and everything that we've seen. And this episode, we're gonna talk about his wife, Lady Sabitha Frey. And there's a whole lot here, and that counter is gonna get full. So let's get into it.
So let's do this thing!
Lady Sabitha Frey, we have to talk about why this character is in the war that is the Dance of Dragons. In our episode about Lord Forster, the books tell us that he got them involved because he loves Rhaenyra. In the books of Fire and Blood, The World of Ice and Fire, and the other world book, the shortened one more based on art, all of them highlight that Forster Frey proposed to her.
And a younger son of House Frey made so bold as to ask openly for her hand. Fool Frey, he was called thereafter.
But everyone considered him an idiot and a fool. Why? He was a second son of a small house that no one liked.
Ouch.
He still loved her, and when she called to arms and said, "Fight for me," he just said, "Put me where to go and I'll do it." And that's what he did. That's the reason why the Freys are in this war. And for Lady Sabitha, and to go into what did she contribute and how much she got involved, I have to give a little small summary about a certain aspect of the war. And we're not going into a deep dive of every single battle, but we have to for this subject, for various reasons. For the main one is how she got into the battle. Because it all revolves around Harrenhal.
You want Harrenhal?
Don't trust the clip! Look, Harrenhal is a stronghold and is a cursed place. But at the time of the war, House Strong was in charge. But Rhaenyra's crew needed a headquarters to fight in Westeros, so Daemon went down and took control of Harrenhal. House Strong had two choices: stand for honor and king and take the dragon fire, or live another day, and just said,
Screw our country! I want to live!
"Peace! Survive! Come here and live and strategize." And there, he called the banners, the Freys, and many other houses came in and sought to fight for him. Aemond Targaryen saw, wait a minute, everyone's at Harrenhal. I'll go and kill Daemon in one blow, and everyone will love me. Well, not that part, I just couldn't help it. But when Aemond got there, no one was there, and he thought, I scared him away. Actually, you didn't, bro. What happened was, Daemon had spies, and he learned about what you're going to do. So he said, let him come to Harrenhal. He can have it. I'll have King's Landing.
Oh!
So, King's Landing is controlled by Daemon Targaryen.
Yahoo!
And that led Aemond pissed off. So he decided to do a vendetta spree. Him and Vhagar flying around the Riverlands, burning everything down. While he was doing this, Lady Frey, finally she's now getting involved, decides to go into Harrenhal and takes it. And while she's there, she discovers Ali's rivers.
To set half the Riverlands ablaze, burning every town and village he came across. Less successful was Criston Cole's plan. not 3 days after Kristen abandoned Harrenhal to march south, Sabitha Frey, Lady of the Twins, arrived with her forces to seize the castle. Only Alice Rivers remained, who claimed that Prince Aemon had left her with a dragon's bastard in her belly.
She's a very mysterious woman. We actually got to meet her in the second season of House of the Dragon. And she's just as mysterious as she is in the books, but Daemon didn't interact with her as much.
No!
She got to meet Aemon pretty well, because when Sabitha Frey got there, she found out this Alice was pregnant with Aemon's son. Or we assume son. But Sabitha Frey controlled Harrenhal for Daemon a second time. And while she was there, remember Aemon's vendetta going around in Riverlands? He decided to give Harrenhal a dragon fire again.
He even returned to Harrenhal to set alight its wooden structures, killing a number of knights and men-at-arms, though Lady Sabitha saved herself by taking refuge in a privy.
Our Lady Sabitha Frey survived the dragon fire. I'm sorry, that sounds ballsy. And I hope when they film this, they make it cinematic. Because dragons are basically nuclear warheads for the medieval age. So she hid from a nuclear warhead in crap, in feces, and just came out of it and said, I'm going back home.
Lady Sabitha Frey only saved herself from the flames by hiding in a privy. She fled back to the twins soon after, but her prized captive, the witch woman Alice Rivers, escaped with Prince Aemon.
Girl, you good. And that's not the last we see of her. Because after that, Adam Varlarian, the writer of Sea Smoke, he wanted to give justice for Lady Rhaenyra and the Dragon Seed who betrayed her. So he went around the Riverlands saying, hey, fight with me at the Battle of Templeton. And Sabitha Frey heard the call and came. But this time she brought her family, the Viperins. And in the second Battle of Templeton, she fought.
When Adam had escaped King's Landing, he had flown to the Riverlands to rally the loyal lords, urging them to join battle against the Hightower army. The River Lords sent more than 4,000 men to his call, including Sir Elmo Tully, who until then strenuously avoided taking part in the fighting.
There was nothing special there, but she fought again. She lived through Dragonfire and decided I'll fight under Dragonfire again.
That's a thinker.
And this was a battle of 3 dragons, 2 versus 1, and yet she still fought there.
Damn!
You think Lady Sabitha is done? No! Because after that battle, the next time we see her, she was called again by the Tullys. And this was called by Elmo Tully.
Lord Grover Tully had finally died, and his grandson Elmo, now the last Lord of Riverrun, had called the Lords of Trident to war once more, lest he suffer the same fate as Lords Rosby and Stokeworth and Darkling.
And you think this is done, right? Because in story of the Dance of Dragons, this is where the war ends. And again, if you're still watching House of the Dragon and you're still watching this video, plug your ears now, because guess what? Rhaenyra dies and Aegon II dies. Her son, Aegon III, is now king of all of Westeros, but he's a little kid.
Thanks, Captain Obvious.
And while this is happening and everyone's going, we're free from the war, the Starks come. And they want to die. So they're doing everything they can to keep the war going on. But every time he's trying to do it, there's always a solution. This guy is almost like a foaming dog ready for something. He can cause more damage. But that is stopped by Alice Blackwood. Okay, why are we mentioning this and going into here? In Fire and Blood, Alice Blackwood was good and great friends with Sabitha Frey. It's actually implied that throughout the battles where they've fought with each other, there's a good friendship there. Suspicious one, too, but it happened.
Many thought her to be the same ilk as Sabitha Frey, for they were oft in one another's company, and had been known to share a tent whilst on the march. Yet in King's Landing, whilst accompanying her young nephew Benjicot at court and council, she had met Cregan Stark and conceived a liking for the stern Northman.
Alice Blackwood tamed Cregan Stark and said, hey, just end the battles, and these wild Northmen, well, a lot of husbands died. Marry them off. As I was talking about this, there was one piece of information I forgot, and I am so sorry. That was this. Yes, I got a little gung-ho and excited about her entering Harrenhal. No, Sabitha Frey really got involved in the Dance of Dragons when the North passed the neck. This first battalion of the North was being led by Ruddy the Ruin.
At their head rode the Lord of Barrowton, Roderick Dustin, a warrior so old and hoary, men called him Ruddy the Ruin. He was made up of grizzled graybeards, an old male in ragged skins, every man a seasoned warrior, every man a horse. They called themselves the Winter Wolves. We have come to die for the Dragon Queen, Lord Roderick announced to the twins when Lady Sabitha Frey rode out to greet him.
This is the first time we can see in the literature of Game of Thrones the Northmen being greeted by a Frey. And I'm curious about this greeting. Really curious. Because I feel like there's something a whole lot more happening here. Why? Well, let's just hit pause for a second, get back to the story. And then when we're done with the story, I'll go back to this theory. Can we do that? We're almost done with the story, okay? Because of Aegon III being a young kid, there was a regency. There were names considered to be who would be the regents taking care of the kingdom until he was of age. Yes, here's the group that did end up ruling, but there were other names, a second batch of names, and Lady Frey was a part of it.
It is reliably reported that Lord Cregan Stark was also offered a place among the regents, but refused. Conspicuous omissions from the council included Kermit Tully, Unwin Peake, Sabitha Frey, Thaddeus Ruin, Hightower, Joanna Lannister, and Benjicot Blackwood.
That is how much regard people had of her. She could have been part of the regency of ruling Westeros. So really, out of all the Freys, she is probably the most historic out of all of them. And there is something very interesting about her. Okay, remember that theory I wanted to talk about? About her meeting the Northmen? Well, to give that context, we have to talk about Harrenhal. Why? Here's the thing. Harrenhal is a cursed place. Whoever goes in there gets messed up. I mean, it happened in the TV show Game of Thrones and the book series it's based on. Tywin takes controls of it, Tywin dies. Vargo Hoat, the goat, he takes care of it for a bit, he ends up dying. The mountain who rides takes Harrenhal from Vargo Hoat. And the mountain, being there for a limited time as he was, he got a cruel fate. He's more dead than alive. So everyone that gets involved in Harrenhal meets destruction. Even how strong. In the House of the Dragon, they're in control. And when Aemon got there and took it for his brother, he destroyed the entire Strong family. To the point that the only person that was left is the Clubfoot here. He's the last living Strong. And once he dies, the bloodline is destroyed. Whoever touches Harrenhal is extinct. Or worse. I mean, even Brienne is going through hardships in the books. Yeah, her fate is rough. And we're all on pins and needles. Anyone who touches Harrenhal. But that's the thing.
She takes Harrenhal for Queen Rhaenyra for a second time, and then she loses it to the second son of the second marriage of King Viserys, and Harrenhal is put to dragon flame a second time. And add on top of that, she is married to the second son of the Freys. And it's through the second son, that's where the Frey family bloodline comes from. And her being wrapped in so many twos, I wonder if that was a shield. And it may sound weird, but when you lay it on out and see all these twos, there's something going on here, and the fact that she survives Harrenhal with really going unscathed by the curse, I can't help but wonder if that is a pattern we need to pay attention to.
Coincidence? I think not!
Now here's the theory. Roose Bolton, the father of this demon, he took Harrenhal. By the time he took Harrenhal, he married a Frey, Fat Walda, the second daughter of Merritt. And while in Harrenhal, there's a batch of Freys with him. The two I can remember off the top of my head is Aenys Frey and Hostine Frey. And Aenys and Hostine go with Roose Bolton to go north. And he's surviving right now. We don't know the fate of Roose Bolton. But right now, he's riding high and doing good. And he married into the Freys. Is he being immune to the curse of Harrenhal? We don't know. We haven't seen Winds of Winter and A Dream of Spring. But it's putting things on a weird perspective. Could my theory, the fact that the theme of twos, that we see a whole lot with the Freys, is something deeper being involved? Is it a protection? Or is it something more magical or more thematic? Because Lady Sabitha Frey was in the second battle of Tumbleton. She greeted the Northmen when they came north. So, who was part of the group of Freys that met Robb Stark when he was coming south? It was a large group. Some of them lived, some of them died. Some of them, we don't know what's going to happen to them. I'm curious. Is this a foreshadow for something in the books? And I wonder where it's going to lead to. And our next episode, things are gonna get a whole lot more interesting. As much I was looking forward to this, and I really was looking forward to Sabitha Frey, the next one is gonna be baller.
When many speak of Harrenhal, their voices drop to whispers. A castle that could garrison 1,000,000 men, with walls so vast that winters would come and go, and besieging armies grow old and grey before the castle fell. But the very day the slaves laid the last stone, Aegon Targaryen and his sisters arrived in the south. When they arrived with their small army, Harren laughed and shut the gates. Harrenhal would have its first test, and an easy one at that. It failed. The tallest and thickest walls meant little to dragons, for dragons fly. With Harren and his sons dead, Harrenhal quickly surrendered to Aegon. We should have torn down the castle stone by stone then. But Harrenhal seemed such a magnificent prize that Aegon gave it to one of his commanders, whose line then withered to extinction. As would every family to hold it thereafter. When many speak of Harrenhal, their voices drop to whispers. About the ghosts of Black Heron and his sons who still walk the castle at night, all aflame. Of the servants who went to bed in full health and were found in the morning, burnt to ash.
Ghost of Harren the Black moaning his curses from Kingspire Tower?
Drivel! All of it! The ghosts, the curses, the blasted weirwood bed, I'm done with it!
And Harrenhal. Harrenhal is cursed.
Harren the Black thought this castle would be his legacy. Greatest fortress ever built. Tallest towers, the strongest walls.